And good afternoon. It is Friday, and that means it's time for our regular lunch and learn. Now today, we are going to talk about our favorite morning beverages. And so yours might be coffee or it may be hot tea, depending on where you live in the world. But both of these beverages help protect your body against viral infections. So a lot of times when we're working on protocols and we're doing gut health and we're doing different things, we ask you not to do any kind of caffeine. So that includes both coffee and tea. Now we're doing that for a specific reason. So if we're not working on gut health and we're not working on any kind of anti-inflammatory protocol, right, then you can enjoy your cup of coffee or your cup of tea in the morning. However, if we are working on an inflammatory process, and every sickness and every disease is an inflammatory process, we don't want you to be over imbibing in the caffeine. So that's both coffee and tea. So I had a brother-in-law who would have a pot of coffee on in the morning, and he would continually keep that pot of coffee going all day. And he would drink 4 or 5 pots of coffee. Now that is a little bit excessive. I do know other people that do that, and that's not a really good idea because coffee is a diuretic. But having a cup of coffee in the morning is not a big deal and may even be protective as we are still in the winter months and there are still viral infections, and people will say that this is the flu season and all that kind of thing. I don't really think that flu has a season, but that is my own opinion. Now, do I think that coffee and tea is going to be the absolute be-all, end-all to prevent viral infections? No, I don't think that. What I think is the be-all and end-all is to keep your immune system strong, and there are ways that you can do that. We're going to talk a little bit about how we do that. But this report, well, actually it's 2 reports that talk about both coffee and tea and what they found in the research. So instead of just thinking that your coffee is a great morning ritual, which I personally think that it is. I love the way the coffee smells when I wake up in the morning. I love the heat in my hand and the cup. I love the warmth going down. So it's just all a whole experience, and I just love that. And I would hate for somebody to tell me that I couldn't do that because I just really enjoy it. I used to, all honestly, I would have, when I was a teacher and a principal, I would have a electronic coffee cup warmer on my desk, and I would have a cup of coffee on my desk all day long. Now, I can't tell you how many times I refilled it because I don't really remember drinking all that much coffee, but I did sip on it throughout the day. And I no longer do that because I know that coffee is a diuretic and I need to have all the fluid inside so that my body can do what it needs to do. So there's new research that reveals that coffee has a impediment to the viral infections that we're facing today. All right, coffee will stop the viruses from infecting the cell. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing. Previous research shows that a diet rich in polyphenols, compounds found in plants, have antioxidant properties. They boost immune function and reduce the risk of severe viral symptoms. In a recent study published by Cell and Bioscience went even further and examined whether drinking coffee, which contains polyphenols, could also reduce viral infection. The researchers conducted lab testing of human cells in a trial with 64 participants that were infected with a pseudovirus. The lab found that the coffee inhibited multiple strains of variants by preventing the viral binding to the ACE2 receptors in the cells, and it reduced the activity of the proteins that are linked with severe illness. So this is a really good finding that they had. Put simply, it kept the virus from getting a foothold needed to cause the infection, says Dr. Jacob Teitelbaum, who is a board-certified internist, an author, and the director of the Practitioners Alliance Network. Now, this guy was not involved in the study. He just looked at the study and analyzed the study. In the human trial, 1 to 2 cups of coffee daily inhibited infection across all the variants, including Delta and Omicron. So the effect was consistent with various types of coffee. So that could be ground coffee, that could be instant coffee, caffeinated or decaffeinated. Now, full disclosure here, I am not for decaffeinated coffee. It takes more chemicals to decaffeinate the coffee because it comes caffeinated because that's how God made it. And so if you're drinking decaffeinated coffee, make sure that they are caffeinating it with some kind of organic method and not just adding a lot of chemicals in there. So the researchers are saying that adding a cup of coffee to your daily routine could be very effective in preventing viral infections. Now, there was another study in 2021 that was called the Northwestern University study. Now, this research analyzed data from the UK Biobank, which is a huge-scale biomedical database entailing the dietary behaviors of almost 38,000 people between 2006 and 2010. Now, they used this database and whatever they had in there to see if those particular habits of those particular people would have an effect on whether or not they would be infected with virus, to see if diet had any effect. They found that drinking at least 1 cup of coffee per day was linked to a 10% decrease in viral infection. So just 1 cup of coffee is linked to a decrease. Additionally, the study found that eating vegetables was also associated with lower infection risk, and you only had to eat 3/4 of a cup. Non-potato, right? But the green vegetables, orange vegetables, red vegetables, whatever, any other color. Now, we know that when you have a diet full of bioflavonoids, and the bioflavonoids are what give your fruits and vegetables the colors that they have, the red, the green, the blue, the orange, those bright colors. That's why people say eat the rainbow. All right. And so when we are eating that, we are getting those bioflavonoids into the body. The body uses those to combat free radical damage, and it stops the aging process. And so that's what we need to do. Now, we know, because we know that if we have a diet high in those kind of foods, that we're going to have a better immune system. We're going to have a stronger immune system. And that's not anything that is surprising there. But they did find that people who had a daily serving of processed meat had an increased risk of viral infection. So what does that tell you? You don't want to have processed meats. Processed meats have a lot of additives. They've got a lot of chemicals. They've got a lot of things that you don't want that weaken your immune system. And so we don't want to do that. So there are other benefits that are associated with drinking a cup of coffee. So it is a lower risk for stroke. So if you have stroke in your family, you have cardiovascular disease in your family, you might want to add a cup of coffee to your daily routine. It reduced the risk of cardiovascular disease and it also reduced all other causes of death by 21%. So just take that for what it's worth. It lowered the risk of developing multiple sclerosis. So that's really important. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease that affects your nerves and it affects your brain and that kind of thing. So having a cup of coffee lowered your risk of developing multiple sclerosis, and it moderately lowered your risk of getting breast cancer. So you might just want to think about that. So there's a good reason to enjoy your cup of coffee, but we're talking about a cup of coffee, not cup after cup after cup after cup. Okay, that's not what we want to do. So coffee may offer protection, but there are even more powerful ways to prevent viral infections. In households in which somebody gets a virus, only 1 in 6 other members will also catch it on the average, though that rate was 2 in 5 for the higher or more infection Omicron variant. So most of the time, even if you have family members that have a virus, you're not going to get it. What is the difference between somebody that gets a virus and somebody that doesn't? It is their immune system. It's how they are treating their body, what their body's doing, and then also how they respond when they feel like they're getting an infection. So I've told you this before, but I'll tell you again in case there's somebody new that's watching us today. When I wake up and I feel like, I don't feel 100%, there's something going on, I will set my alarm on my phone for every 2 hours. And every 2 hours, I will take an antiviral herbal blend, and I also take wild oregano oil, not essential oil. This is in a capsule. It is an antiviral and a natural antibiotic. So I will set my phone, and every 2 hours I will take that. By the end of the day, I'm fine. So just if you will keep those things with you when you wake up feeling not 100%, you can deal with it. Hit it hard, hit it fast, and you're not going to have any kind of issues moving forward. I have been as close as I am to you, right, in the camera, that close to people with full-blown viral infections, fever, all the issues, and I've never gotten it. Why? Because I keep my immune system strong, and I make sure that I eat right. I make sure that I don't have a lot of drama in my life. I make sure that, I take the herbs and the supplements that I'm supposed to, because if you're taking, we know that zinc prevents viral replication, right? And so if we know that we're going to be in an environment that has that, and my environment does have that. We have people that come in here sick all the time. I know that, so I'm a target-rich environment, or my environment is target-rich. And because I take good care of myself and because I do preventative stuff, I have not had any kind of problem. This Dr. Teitelbaum says that low transmission rate in households show that immunity is far more important than viral exposure. In other words, it's not the disease that matters as much as the health of the person that is exposed to it. And I would absolutely agree to that. So what else can you do? You can take really, really good vitamins. Now, we have people all over. We have people that come in here with laundry baskets full of supplements that they're taking, and they're not well. They've got autoimmune diseases and all that kind of stuff. So even though we want you to take vitamins, we want you to take the kind of vitamins that work. Remember, we've got this beautiful scanner. There is a laser right there, and it will read the antioxidant level in the heel of your hand here. And so that particular company, Pharmanex, makes vitamins that are guaranteed to move you in the right direction, or they will give you your money back. So don't just take any vitamin, take a vitamin that works. If you need a vitamin that works, then you can reach out to us and we'll send you a link. You can order it. It'll come straight to you, and you'll be able to help your own immune system. You want to stay hydrated. You need to drink half your weight in ounces every day. So if you are 100 pounds, you want to drink 50 ounces of water every day. Now, if you drink coffee, if you drink tea, those are diuretics. And so it's going to cause you to be dehydrated, because that's what they do. So you're going to have to drink even more water. If you're an athlete, if you run, if you sweat, if you do all those kind of things, you're going to have to do more. But if you're just a regular human, like I am, if you drink half your body weight in ounces, you're going to be just fine. You also want to get enough sleep. So inadequate sleep substantially reduces our ability to fight illness. Now, you probably already know that. You probably already know that if you've been really excited, or you've been really busy and you've not been able to sleep, you've not taken the time to rest, all of a sudden you're just prone to having everything that comes around the corner as far as a viral load or bacteria or whatever. And so adequate sleep is important. Optimal sleep duration is 7 to 8 hours for adults, 9 to 10 hours for teenagers. I don't know one teenager that gets that much sleep. I have teenagers that come to see me all the time. They may get 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and I tell them that's not enough. I don't know that they believe me, but this is research that shows that they need 9 to 10 hours of sleep, and then younger children need 10 or more hours of sleep. And so we want to make sure that we are getting the amount of sleep that we need as we get older. And all of you women that are of a certain age, you know that menopause is a killer, can be a killer to sleep. And so if you're having sleep issues, reach out to us, because we have solutions that will help you be able to manage your sleep, moderate your sleep, so that you can get at least 7 to 8 hours a day. Now, we talked about coffee. Right now, we're going to talk about tea. Now, we have talked about tea recently. We've talked about green tea, we've talked about black tea, and we talked about how it had a lot of anti-cancer properties. But there is a recent study that was conducted in Japan that found that green tea, Japanese sencha and matcha, and black tea can effectively inactivate certain subvariants of viruses. The saliva produced after consuming candy containing green or black tea exhibited virus inactivating properties in the laboratory, rendering the virus less contagious. Now, I have never seen a candy made out of tea. I've never had a green tea candy, a black tea candy, so this must be something only available in Asia. But they did the research there. This was a Japanese study. The virus, right, is effectively spread through saliva. So you're talking to somebody, you're breathing on somebody, and droplets of saliva just go out into the air. They breathe them in and that kind of thing. So they looked at the saliva of infected people, and they found that when they were taking the green tea candies or the black tea candies, that it inactivated the virus into the that was in the saliva, and so it couldn't get a hold onto the body. So Professor Osnam Mazda, that's an easy name to say, and his research team at Kyoto Prefectural University of Medicine in Japan believes that inactivating the virus in saliva is crucial for preventing disease. Therefore, they explored various foods and the ingredients to inactivate these strains of viruses. So in previous studies, the research team had conducted a study and found that polyphenols in green tea or black tea reduced the infectivity of viruses in human saliva in the lab, demonstrating viral and active properties. The polyphenols in tea can bind to the spike protein of the virus, preventing it from infecting the cells. So this was done in 2023. This research team published this article in October of 2023 in Scientific Reports, and it indicates that green tea, matcha tea, and black tea rapidly and effectively inactivate some variants. So we have talked about green tea. We've talked about this. So if you don't like to drink a hot drink, and of course we live down here in South Texas, where it doesn't get that cold all that many days. When I lived in England, when I lived in Scotland, I was a tea drinker every day because it was cold outside, and having something warm on the inside was a good thing. But if you're not wanting to do that because it's hot outside 90% of the year, then you can take green tea in a capsule, and it can be as effective. One of the experiments in the study involved 7 healthy volunteers who consumed candies containing green tea, black tea, or no tea components and had their saliva collected and tested. Researchers found that the saliva immediately after consuming the candies containing the tea had high concentration of tea polyphenols, including epigalacticatoxin gallate. That's a big mouthful of words. The initials are EGCG. Okay, that's that long word there. And T-flavin gallate. Okay. When the researchers mixed the saliva samples with the early Omicron virus strains BA1 for 10 seconds, they observed rapidly inactivation of the virus by the saliva that had the tea polyphenols. However, the viral inactivating ingredient only lasted 5 to 15 minutes. So I'm not sure if you're just supposed to take these candies with the green tea like a throat lozenge or a cough drop or something like that and have it in your mouth all the time. And that way your saliva, the virus can't live in your saliva. Or I'm probably going to, do the green tea in the capsules because that's just the most convenient way to do that. That polyphenol gets in my system. And then if a viral particle comes in my system, then that polyphenol is going to inactivate it. So the research team believes that if infected individuals consume candies containing green or black tea, it will be useful in deactivating the virus, decreasing the virus load in the oral and GI tracts, and preventing the virus from spreading nearby to non-infected individuals. And so I do think that that is something that if you are prone to viral diseases, you might want to see this. I don't know, and if anybody out there knows about any green tea candies or black tea candies, let me know, because I've never seen that until I read this research. I had absolutely no idea. Do I think I might like it? I don't know. I enjoy a cup of tea. I enjoy, but I don't know that I would like a lozenge with it, but that's just what it is. Another experiment involved steeping black tea, green tea, or matcha in hot water, subsequently mixing the viral suspension with the tea for 10 seconds, followed by assessing the virus's virulence. The results revealed that the inactivity of the BA1 and other Omicron subvariants, meaning their ability to establish an infection, decreased to less than 1%. So even having the tea as a tea, you put the virus in that tea, that liquid, then you test the liquid, the virus is there less than 1%. So that's just kind of an important thing, that these polyphenols are very, very effective. They're very potent in disabling viruses and inactivating viruses. And so that's what you want to be thinking about when you're thinking about your immune system. We all have viruses that live in our person, all of us. 95% of humans, adult humans, in the North American continent, now that's Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Those people, 95% of the adults have the Epstein-Barr virus. Now, the Epstein-Barr virus is responsible for mono. Most of us have had mono as teenagers because, we get stressed out and that kind of thing. That's kind of a debilitating virus. You're tired and you don't have any motivation and all that kind of thing, but it's usually not deadly. On the other end of the spectrum is Guillain-Barré virus, which is the same root of the Epstein-Barr, and it is almost always deadly. It can paralyze you. It can do all those kind of things. So we all have viruses in our DNA. We all do. We all have bacteria. We all have fungus. We all have those kind of things because it's part of the microbiome. So consuming green tea, consuming black tea, consuming matcha tea can inactivate those viruses. And that's what we want, because if a virus is inactivated, it's not doing anything. And so it's not going to cause us to have any kind of problems. All right. So not only does fresh brewed tea have viral and activating effects, but also bottled green tea beverages that you purchase from the grocery store, right, significantly reduce the infectivity of the Omicron subvariants BA1, BA5, BQ11, although they weren't effective against the BA2.75 variant. Now, none of y'all know what that means. I don't even know what that means. It's just all in this report. Most of the variants, you know how we get a flu, right? So they want you to go out and get the flu shot. And this particular flu shot is guaranteed to attack the flu that's out here today. They don't know. They know that it's going to have a variant. They make a prediction of what's going to happen. But if you look around, most people that get the flu shots do what else? They also get the flu. So just take that with a grain of salt and deal with that however you see fit. I personally do not get the flu shot. I've never gotten the flu shot. I will never get the flu shot. Why is that? Because I keep my immune system functioning the way it is supposed to function. I get adequate sleep. I stay hydrated. I take really good vitamins. And if I am exposed, or I know I'm going to be in an environment that's going to be a high target environment for viruses like travel, airline, cruises, anything like that, I'm going to take preventative supplements so that my body is on high alert in case it comes into any kind of contact with a virus of any kind of species. The study also found that different Omicron subvariants have varying sensitivity to the T polyphenols. For instance, the EGCG at a concentration of 1,000 micromolars can inactivate more than 99% of these viruses. That's a lot, okay? That's a lot. So black tea is produced by oxidizing green tea leaves, and it exhibits the vibrant reddish-orange color due to the transformation of the T polyphenols into the T flavonoids in the tea leaves. Now, I like black tea because it is a stronger, more robust flavor. Green tea is a more gentle, less robust flavor, okay? Researchers treated various Omicron viruses with these concentrations similar to those found in the black tea and observed a significant reduction in the virulence of the viruses. The research also found that the antiviral mechanisms of the EGCG is to render the virus inactive. So when it is used to treat cells, it doesn't induce antivirus effects in the cells, all right? So the researchers had previously suggested that holding the tea in your mouth for 10 seconds before swallowing it while dining in a restaurant could temporarily inactivate the virus in the saliva, potentially reducing the risk of droplet transmission and group infections. However, the research team also point out that despite the high levels of catechins in the tea leaves, it is challenging for them to enter the bloodstream and exert their effects throughout the entire body. So, lots of information here. So the more green tea you drink, the more coffee you drink. And again, we don't want you overdoing it because then you've got that diuretic effect and that kind of thing, the inflammation. The best thing to do would be to find those candies, if you can find those candies, or get a good green tea supplement that has that epigalactica catechin, right? The gallate, all of that. So make sure you have that. And this one does. And we have this in the clinic, and we've got another one. I'm getting my glasses because I can't just read that small print. And so I wanted just to see if they tell you how many percent that it has in here. So 2 capsules is 500 milligrams. All right. So that's not an excessive amount, but it might be all you need if you took it on a consistent basis, that it would just keep that T polyphenol in your system. So if perchance a viral particle got in the system, your body's going to have what it needs to deactivate that. And that's really what we want to do. Like the doctor said in the report, it's not that the virus is so powerful, it's that our health is so weak. Why is that? Because of all the garbage food that we eat. We've got food that is full of antibiotics. We've got food that's full of hormones. We've got food that's full of preservatives. We've got food that's been sprayed with Roundup. We've got food that isn't even food. It's just plastic. Those of you who are diabetics that do all the sugar-free foods, let me just tell you that that sugar-free sweetener started out most likely as an industrial solvent somewhere in some plant. Somebody tasted it, somebody said it was sweet, and so the manufacturers turned it into a food additive, but it does nothing good for you. And so we're eating all of these things that our body doesn't know how to recognize, and our health is deteriorating, which is why illness is increasing. So take a breath. That was a lot of information. What is your key takeaway? Consume green tea. Consume a cup of coffee a day. That's going to help you stay virus-free and make sure that you take good quality vitamins, make sure that you get adequate amount of sleep, and make sure that you stay hydrated. Now, when we say stay hydrated, that does not include coffee, tea, alcohol, soda, juice. That's water. Water. So if you do alcohol, soda, caffeine, juice, you're going to have to do even more of the water in order to get your cells to be hydrated and get them to function the way they need to. So it is the weekend. I always say take care of yourself, do something fun, do something restorative, do something relaxing, and I will see you next week with some more good news.